I'm Lisa Berry.
Arlene Schofield.
My name is Shireen Snow.
My name is Carla A. Miles.
Diana Caputo.
This is Christine Dunford.
I'm me, Eden.
Caroline Macy. This is Walker Fannin.
Lydia Camille Dixon.
Emma Dates Wardam.
My name is Linda Preston, and you're watching the Keith Andrew Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Keith Andrew. I am the host of the Keith Andrew Network. I'm here with a good friend of mine, Bob Barder. I just want to say thank you for being a guest on my talk show.
Oh, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
No, the honor is all mine. Now, for people who want to know what my talk show is about, the whole point of my talk show is to show people that even with having a learning disability, I can still amount to something. And at the same time, I'm able to turn myself into an example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities and disabilities. But you should never give up and prove people wrong. Prove to them what labels do not dictate who you are and who you're going to be, and you should prove to them you can break the labels. So hashtag break the labels. So that being said, it's going to be a half hour, 37 minutes every time. Say anything you want, talk about anything you want, uncensored, freedom of speech, self-expression, and I'm for pure already having a brain fart. Now, for people who want to know what we're all about you are award-winning writer and actor. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, I have to have you on the show because that's really amazing.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I am a writer, actor, and monologist. I do solo shows. I'm actually in California right now, and we're getting ready to do my show, Spitting in the Face of the Devil, which is a solo show. It's won 7 awards because we've toured it all over the U.S. and Canada, and it's a powerful, hard-hitting show. It's about growing up with an abusive father who also molested 2 of my friends. So it's a powerful show, but it's got a lot of light, a lot of humor. I'm really proud of it. And the last show I did was also an award-winning show called Smoker, about my love affair with smoking and how we broke up.
No, absolutely. Now I'm going to ask you some easy questions and then some hard-hitting ones. And
Go for it.
The first one I was going to ask you while we're on the acting, let's just fast forward. So, have you ever worked with people with disabilities, number one? And are you willing to work with people with disabilities?
I am, absolutely. I've never had the opportunity to do it. A lot, especially over the last few years, because I've been focusing mostly on solo work and solo shows. But when I was doing larger ensemble work, absolutely. That doesn't bother me at all. As long as I always look at shows like we're in it together. We're a team, so we're always trying to help that team be better. So anybody who can help make that team be better, I'm all about it, all in.
No, absolutely. And if it's a possibility, I would love to work with you.
Oh, yeah, that would be great.
Now, the next question I was going to ask you is let's just stay on this subject for a couple minutes.
Sure.
You are award-winning writer and actor. So what was your breakthrough script, number one, that said, you know what, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life? And what type of awards have you gone over the years?
Wow. Well, again, it's mostly for my solo work. The first show when I was not doing the solo work, I won an award for, we were doing a large ensemble show called, it was called Bitch, the Scottish Play. And it was a take on Macbeth, and it was a very large ensemble piece, and I got to play a very mean, nasty, horrible guy. And the whole entire ensemble won an award for that piece, which was one of the first awards I ever got. But for the solo work, Spitting in the Face of the Devil was the first show that I wrote, and I had never written a piece before, and I knew I had a story to tell, but I wasn't exactly sure how to go about telling that story. And my partner, my director, developer, love of my life, Suzanne Backner, she was just a friend of mine at the time, and she was a writer and a director. And I said, look, I have this story to tell, and we were at Great Adventure, actually, and I told her the whole entire story at Great Adventure, and I was like, so I would like you to write that for me. And she was like, well, I'm not really a writer. I'm a writer, but I'm not ready to write that kind of story. That's your story. You should write that story. And I was like, oh, you're right. I should write that. And so I sat down and I tried to do it. And I would write pieces and I would send them to Suzanne, and she would look them over and say, keep writing. And so I would write more and send it to her, and she would say, keep writing. And so finally we had amassed this very large collection of writing, and then we rented a theater and sat down, and I read this large piece for about 4 friends of mine in the theater, and they sat there and listened for 2.5 hours. And then afterwards, we all got together and started talking, and that's when, in those conversations, is when the piece actually started to form. And we realized the story that we had and the story that we wanted to tell, and it kind of took off from there.
No, I love the name, Bitch the Scottish.
Scottish Play, yes. So Spitting in the Face of the Devil has won Best Script, Best Show, Best Encore Presentation. We've won Best Show at the San Francisco Fringe. United Solo, we won Best Script. It's won 7 different awards. So yeah. I'm very honored and really thrilled and proud of the piece.
No, absolutely. And how did he come up with the name Spit in the Face of the Devil and the Irish one? I remembered it and I forgot it.
But Bitch the Scottish Play was not my piece; it was somebody else's, and I just had the honor of being in it. Spitting in the Face of the Devil, in writing the piece, I started to when I was younger, I always used to think of my father as kind of the devil. He was rather abusive, and so I used to think of him as the devil. So when I was writing this play, to me, it was kind of like being able to purge all of that and get all of that out. So it was kind of like spitting in his face to get those kind of stories out. Because he was I'm sure he never wanted me to write that story. But it was just my way of kind of spitting back at him, getting back at him. But the thing is that in writing the show and in doing the show more, I've realized that it wasn't really about getting back at him. It was about my own healing and about getting over the stuff that happened, and not about being angry at him. And the show is not a kind of angry bile show about this man. It's actually trying to understand this person that my father was.
Well, while on the subject, are you guys back on good terms?
No. My father passed away in 2003. and we had not talked for over 10 years before then.
No disrespect.
Yeah. But you know, again, I think I wrote the show to try and understand this man that I never really had a connection with.
All right. Now, my next question is, do you have any new projects that you're working on? And do you have your own studio? I know right now you said you're in California, but
Right.
do you have your own studio base, like in New York, or you just travel wherever you're needed?
Yeah, I mean, my wife, Suzanne Bachner, is also a writer and director, and she does many different plays. I mean, we were in San Diego for almost a year with a commission that she was working on, and so we do travel a lot to get the word out to the different shows with the different shows that we're doing. We're doing a solo festival here in California, and we do tend to travel a lot. But I am currently working on the book of Spitting in the Face of the Devil. I'm trying to work that into book form from the play version, which is very different because when you're doing a solo show, especially when you're doing a monologue piece, you want to leave out certain details because you want the audience to fill them in,
Right.
because it makes it more personal for the audience.
My cow's got to step on the keyboard, so this is Mr. Molly. And it's kind of funny you should talk about the book, but I can get to that. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, no, it's better right. What is your cat's name? I'm sorry.
Oh, Mr. Molly.
Mr. Molly. I love that. I have a cat also. His name is Jade Kitty. And Jade Kitty does not travel with us, and I miss him like crazy when we're on the road. Anyway, I'm working on the book version of Spitting in the Face of the Devil, and I'm also working on 2 new monologues. One, I was a Rocky Horror player for many years, performing Rocky Horror in front of the movie screen, and I'm writing a monologue about that. And I'm also writing one about fear and how fear becomes belief. I used to be petrified of driving. I didn't drive until my late 30s. I was absolutely terrified of it. And it just became a belief for me that I just would never drive. And then when we started touring and doing all of this different stuff, my wife was like, I'm not going to do all the driving. So I had to learn, and overcoming that fear was a very big deal for me. And now I drive everywhere I possibly can.
No, I feel the same exact way. You know, I'm 30 years old, and it's something about being behind the wheel of a car. If I find the right car, then right. I guess it would, if the right shoe fits, then it fits. But it's kind of like, there's a lot of asshole drivers on the road. So So knowing that and having a disability, not being behind the wheel, it's kind of like, I do want to drive, but at the same time, I don't really feel comfortable. But while on the subject, what helped you get comfortable driving?
It was actually the driving instructor, because the driving instructor knew that I was really nervous and really afraid. And so what he did was he had me sit behind the wheel and start driving, and he talked to me. He talked to me about everything and anything. We would go from conversation to conversation to conversation. He just kept me talking. And talking to him is what got me to totally and completely not forget about the fact that I was driving, but it wasn't my full focus. The fact that I was behind the wheel and being, all scared, having that conversation with him kind of lessened that fear. And I don't know why it worked, but it did. and it got me to relax more behind the wheel and just drive. And that's what did it.
But do you think talking while driving kind of takes your focus off the road?
It does. We were driving in back alleys, and basically what he wanted to do was to just get me to not be afraid to be behind the wheel. And it was the talking that got me to be comfortable behind the wheel. I mean, after that, then after I got comfortable there, then, you know, it was more about the concentration. Okay, we're driving down the road. What's this person doing? What's that person doing? Are there any cars coming? You know, it turned into being more focused in what's going on. But the first thing he did to get me used to being behind the wheel and not being afraid was talking to me.
No, absolutely. Now, my next question I was going to ask you is, who influenced you to say, you know, maybe you should become a writer, maybe you should become an actor? Like, was there certain people that stand out the most that says, you know, you have the talent for this, you should go for it?
My mom was a huge, gigantic influence in my life. I mean, my mom is the one who took me to all my auditions, who came to see me when I was doing a talent show in the 4th grade, and you know, and loved the show and was, like, you know, very encouraging about everything. She is the reason that she helped me to become the actor that I am today, to not be afraid to do it. It gave me the encouragement that I needed in order to do it. She was huge influence in my life. And writing would absolutely be Suzanne, my wife, Suzanne Bachner. I mean, I never would have thought of writing a solo show myself if it wouldn't have been for her encouragement, her guidance, her help. She was amazing. So those are the two big, huge, gigantic influences in what I'm on the things that I'm doing today.
No, absolutely. Now, for everyone who wants to know out there, how would they be able to work with you? You know, are you looking for, like, certain talents? Are you scouting talents? You know, how do you get people to be in part of your stuff?
Well, it's for right now. I know we're focusing a lot on solo work. Suzanne has a solo show that we tour also. I have solo work that we're touring. So we're really not working with a whole lot of people at the moment. Well, we're not doing any large ensemble shows. When we are, I'm part of JMTC Theatre, and people can go to a JMTC Theatre and see what's happening and the shows that we're doing.
Now, do you have your own show? What can you tell us about that?
I have the show that I'm currently doing right now is Spitting in the Face of the Devil, and that's the one we're doing here in Sherman Oaks, California. It's part of the Whitefire Theater Solo Festival, and I'm really excited about it. If anyone wants more information on that, they can go to spittinginthefaceofthedevil.com. And our website is there. Also, JMTC Theatre with an R-E. You can also go to the website from there.
Now, my next question is, what do you think, or would you probably be for the idea of me doing like a one-person show? Do you think that would be a possibility to work with you guys, or is it just play-oriented?
I'm sorry.
We were just talking about the theater, and just saying, would it be a possibility to do like a one-person show, or what makes you do theater work, if that makes sense? You were just doing
what makes me do theater work?
Well,
I love the theater. I have always loved the theater. It's always been like a home to me. I mean, even when I was growing up, I spent tons of time in the theater. Even if I wasn't working on a show, I would find a reason to go to the theater and help out and do things, because I always felt more comfortable there than I did almost any place else. So it's always been my home. And so, yeah, I love it. And that's why I continue to do it. I mean, it would be more lucrative if I was like totally into film, right. But I just love the theater so much. And I mean, you know, there's an experience between an actor and the audience that you definitely don't get on film. I mean, when I was performing this show, Spitting in the Face of the Devil in Halifax, talking about the subjects that we're talking about, there was a man who in the audience who came up to me after the show, and he gave me a big, huge hug, and he said, "You have to keep telling your story, because I'm not brave enough to tell mine." And that's a huge thing. I mean, this man had an experience in the theater that I don't know if he would have gotten watching a movie. So it was thrilling to be a part of that.
No, I agree. You know, it's something about performing in front of people. You can feel the energy in the room. That's what people feed off.
Yeah, definitely.
But the question I was going to ask you is, you have your own theater company.
Yeah.
Say, hypothetically, would I be good enough to work with you guys? Like, to say how I can do like a one-person show, or I can come out and talk in front of the audience. Do you think that's a possibility, or if that doesn't really go with what you're doing?
Well, I mean, right now it doesn't go with what we're doing, but if you would have an idea about something, I mean, we absolutely would think about it and talk about it 100%. Sure.
No, absolutely. Now, my last question for you, then we're going to take a commercial break, is social media. How do you feel about social media? And for people who know this subject, social media, can it make you or break you? It's everything you have accomplished in your career. Do you think it helps you, or do you think it can hurt people who are just starting out?
I think social media right now is vital. I mean, if you're not out there somewhere on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you have to have a website. You know, if you don't have those, you're missing an opportunity to get audience. And I think that. I think that those things are a bit crazy sometimes, and they're incredibly time-consuming to be putting out that kind of information all the time, every day. But it's vital. I mean, I think it's really important, especially for, you know, if you're an actor or an artist, even a film person. I mean, you really need to have your face out there. You really need to be seen over and over and over again, so that people know that your product is good, know that they can trust what you're doing. I mean, it's really vital.
No, absolutely. Now, the last two parts of that is with your acting career. Do you think it impacts you, saying people, if promoters approach you and look at your social media, does that dictate if they should have worked with you, or if you don't have a big enough following, it's kind of like, yeah, he's a funny guy, we like to work, but he doesn't have the numbers. Does that come in effect too?
Well, sure it does. I mean, and that's unfortunately, you're going to run into that no matter what. I mean, you know, you really hope that someone comes to see you and the work stands for itself.
Right.
But unfortunately, you know, they're looking at how many Twitter followers you have, how many Instagram followers you have, you know, and so you're working to get those numbers up is almost just as important as making sure that the work you're putting out is good. And yeah, that's a little crazy, but I think that's the way it is now.
No,
and I don't necessarily think it's good or bad. It's just the way it is. You know, I mean, I wish it wasn't. I wish the work always stood for itself. But sometimes that's just not so.
No, and I agree with you. You know, like for me, I have a strong message for what I'm doing with my life, and
Yeah.
turn myself into an example, but at the same time, it doesn't get on people's radars.
Right. It's hard. It's hard to get on people's radar. I mean, but I think what you're doing is important and vital. And I think you are an example. And I think people will see that. And I think the more you keep putting it out, the more people are going to see that. And I think it's important to keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, I agree with you. Now we're going to take a quick commercial break. Come on, Molly, stop being a jerk. Stepping on the keyboard. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, I'm going to pass the show over to you.
Roosevelt.
Me, Mark Medley.
Hi everybody, this is Mark Neely.
Barry Babick.
This is Peter Bruno.
My name is Kyle Collier.
This is Julio Santiago, better known as Dynamite.
I'm Richard Epcar.
Orange Chow.
This is Kerrigan Mahan.
This is Goldar.
And we both support
Keith Andrew.
My name is Ron Wasserman, and I am supporting Keith Andrew on what he is doing, and you better do the same, or I'm going to come kick your ass.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Keith Andrew Network. I am your host, Keith Andrew. Along here is Bob Barder, and I'm here with Mr. Molly.
Molly is so adorable. How old is Molly?
He is, stop trying to clean my ears, Molly. He's 17 years old.
Wow.
I mean, he's an old man, so he thinks he has special rights.
Well, I think he does too.
So I have a couple of hard-hitting questions for you.
Sure.
But the first one is actually, let's go with the hard-hitting questions, and then I can pass the show over to you. Well, I'm passing the show over to you. I'm going to ask you the two questions. Don't mind me. I haven't done my interviews as of late, so I'm kind of rusty.
It's okay.
The first one is, do you believe in life after death? And do you believe in reincarnation?
Wow. Huh. Well, those are really tough. Because I believe in a spirit world. Only because I had two major experiences, and one was while I was doing a show. Doing this show. I was doing Spitting in the Face of the Devil, and we were in Victoria, Canada. And while I was performing the show, I was sitting on the stairs of the theater while I was doing the show. I was sitting on these stairs, and they were the stairs that led right down to the audience. And I felt this presence, whatever you want to call it, standing right in front of the stairs. It was black down there, so I couldn't really see exactly what it was, but I felt someone standing there. And I was doing the show, and as I'm doing the show, I'm thinking, wow, how weird is it that this guy is just standing there? I mean, he's got to be in somebody's way. Somebody's got to be annoyed with him just standing there the whole time. That's really annoying. And I'm going through the show, and then I felt this presence, whatever it was, lay down. It was laying down right in front of the stairs. And then I was again, as I'm going through the show, I'm thinking, how silly is this person laying down in front of the stairs here? I mean, I guess he's got a good view, but it's got to be annoying for everybody. And then after the show, the lights came up, and there was nothing there. But I felt that presence, and I never felt it. I never felt it again during any show, or before then. It was just during that one performance, and everyone told me that there is a spirit that does haunt that theater, and he will mess with performers every so often. So, so I felt that. That to me was real. And the only other time I had that was I was living in Bayside, Queens, and I had a dog, and my dog's name was Trowfaz, and Trowfaz and I were watching TV, and he jumped off the couch and looked at the door that comes into the apartment, and the door shook.
Right.
And then it stopped shaking, and my dog watched whatever it was walk up the stairs, because we had stairs that went up to the bedrooms right by the living room, and he just sat there and watched whatever it was walk up the stairs, and his head followed whatever it was walking up the stairs. So I totally and completely believe in a spirit world. But is there an afterlife? I mean, I really would like there to be one. I'm not an incredibly religious person, but I would like there to be one.
No,
So,
I agree with you. I agree in in heaven and hell, because everything has a yin yang, everything has a balance, up, down, left, right, good, bad. And I'll give you an example. I actually saw my grandfather walk up the stairs, a couple of years ago. After my grandfather passed away, I heard someone walk up the stairs, and the chairs creaked, stairs creaked. And I asked, who's that? No one answered me. And I said, well, when I went over, I saw my mom's father. I saw her this gray hair. I saw a collared shirt. Wasn't really sure what was on it, but it was like a white collared shirt, khaki brown pants. And as soon as I said, I have to take a picture of this, as soon as I went back to my room and went back, he was gone.
Right. Wow. Yeah.
Have you ever gone to John Edwards, or are you not really?
No, I've never really gone into any to any of those kind of places. No.
Well, you should try it. Knock it till you try it.
Right. No, I would.
Now, my next question I was going to ask you, I saw this on your social media, and one of the questions I was going to ask you is about the shooting that took place. Now, with social media, it can make you or break you. Do you think that there should be some limits on it? Do you think there should be a little more common sense? There should be a little more security? Do you think there should be a little more restrictions, if that makes any sense?
On gun laws?
Yes.
Yeah, I do. I think that we as a country kind of worship guns, and I don't think that's good. And I'm not saying that. I know that my grandfather used to have guns. My grandfather had rifles and everything like that. But my grandfather always had them locked away. He had an absolute respect for the weapon, but he liked having them. And I understand that, and I would never want to take anyone's gun away. But my grandfather had those guns for hunting.
Yeah.
And they were rifles. They were not AR-15s or whatever is being used now. That's not a hunting gun. That's not. That's a military gun. I don't think anyone needs a gun like that.
No. They should be banned anyway.
Well, I'm sorry?
They should be banned anyway. They're not even supposed to be for sale. Not to interrupt.
Right. No. Yeah, I agree. I think that I think that when you get into having guns like that, it to me it's just terrifying. I mean, the kind of damage that is done. I mean, not only in schools but at concerts and everything like that. I mean, where becomes safe? Children should not have to worry about that in school. So to me, yes, I think we need to do more as far as gun control goes. Absolutely.
No, I agree with you 100%. And there were one or two schools that approached me, say, "Hey, would you like to come in?" It's basically my old school I went to, and it's like, "Hey, I know you talked about us. I know you talked about yourself and coming in and talking about your show." And I'm thinking, yeah, that's great. That's what I want to do. But in the back of my mind is I really don't want to be in a position to have some nut job going off.
Right. I mean, yes, I understand that. But I feel that you should take those opportunities. We can't, because when we start living in fear like that, that's when we as a society lose. And those people in that school, they need to hear from you. You are a light, and you have a shining light that people need to see, because they can then shine. So I think that you have to go to this school and do it. Even though it's terrifying, you have to go and do it. Because the odds are that won't happen, and the odds are that you are going to help someone who really needs that help. But that being said, yeah, I understand that fear. I do. I understand it.
You know, one more thing on the subject, and I'm going to pass the show over to you. Is and if you don't want to talk about it, we don't have to.
Oh, that's okay. What is it?
It's I was going to say, I made a quote on the video. I made a new hashtag. So if anyone comes up and say, I came up with it, but I came up with it first. It's called hashtag this shit needs to stop.
Right.
So if you heard it first from me, you know it's from me.
Yeah.
And I am for the Second Amendment, you know. If you use it in self-defense, I'm actually support for killing only in self-defense. Someone breaks into your house. I'll give you an example. Someone runs in right now from my house and threatens my life and my family. I have the right to defend myself any way necessary. And the same thing for you. There is your wife, same exact scenario. You have the right to protect yourself. That's the only scenario that killing in self-defense, it's okay.
Right.
And I do support the Second Amendment. However, that being said, if for people who are mentally disturbed, handicapped, convicts, criminals, gangbangers, whatever you want to label yourself as, and if you're in one of those categories that proves to be harmful against people, you should be banned, automatically banned from getting firearms.
Right.
And I was like, what is your opinion about that? Do you think, well, I'm handicapped, and I don't think handicapped people should have the rights to have guns, because that's asking for a problem.
Really? Why?
Because
you said to yourself that you would like to have something like that in case someone is harming your family.
And self-defense.
Right, exactly.
But there's also on the hand of say you have a disability and saying how bad is that disability, and do you really want that type of person to have a gun? Because you're setting yourself up.
Right. Depending, yes, absolutely. Like I think that I believe in the Second Amendment also. I think it's very important. I absolutely believe in it. But that being said, I don't like guns. I don't have a gun in my house. I don't like guns at all. So I don't really take advantage of that right. And I think that if someone wants to have a gun, then I think they should learn to respect that weapon, because that you have to have respect for the weapon. You don't have to worship it, though.
Yeah.
I think that is where we get into a little trouble.
And I agree with you. And I'm the same way. I hate guns. Just give me a paintball gun. And I never said I actually wanted a gun. Just give me your freaking paintball gun. Anything just to protect myself. That's all that matters. Right.
Yeah. And sometimes just the presence of something like that is enough to scare somebody, and then that's good. But yeah, I think that common sense gun laws really need to be implemented, and it's really disturbing to me that the NRA can come in and say that no gun laws are the only way that we can go. And when they talk about school shootings, talking about arming teachers and things like that, that is total nonsense to me. And I find it offensive that someone would even say something like that, because I think it undermines the intelligence of the United States.
Well, and the last thing I want to say is, and I'm going to pass the show over to you with the last 3 minutes left, is saying, there's this quote on Facebook. I don't know if it's still there. If I find it, I would send it to you if you're interested at all. It says Trump, when we're talking about the Obama thing, how he wanted to repeal what Obama said about mental illness.
Right.
And I'm like, he did something right. Why do you want to undo that? And that's why I'm saying, if you have a disability or you're mentally disturbed, it's better, period, not to have a gun, because it's always good not to go down that road. And you're just setting yourself up for failure.
Right. Well, that's another thing that I find puzzling and disturbing about what's currently happening, is that he took away this bill, which would make it more difficult for people with mental illnesses to get guns. So he took away that bill, and now, after what has happened, is saying how we need to do something about mental illness. So he's contradicting himself again, which I find very disturbing. But, right now we have to deal with who we have to deal with.
All I'm going to say about Trump is 25th Amendment.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I'm going to pass the show over to you. It's the last 3 minutes. Was there anything you wanted to talk about? Anything you want to promote? This is your time, after all.
Well, there's the first thing is, what are your belts?
Hey, the first one is, make a long story short, this one I got back in 1997. It's the WWF Championship, actually Intercolor Championship. And in the back you see I put like an Apple sticker because I'm an Apple fan. And the belt was originally brown. And unfortunately, my dog ripped the crap out of it. So I had this, and I'm like, what am I supposed to do with it? I guess I can walk around like this. It's kind of stupid, though. So I put it away in storage, and I'm like, yeah, hanging up on the wall, or it could be a good decoration. Then I have the Hello Kitties, but I call them the Hello Kitties, but the Good Luck Cats.
Right.
And this belt, it's basically a trophy for myself. So everyone made fun of me saying, you don't buy yourself a trophy. Trophies are something that are given to you. But make a long story short, I originally got up to 300 interviews. And so I wanted to have this belt. And this belt, it's custom made. It's banged up, as you can tell. Basically, this part was peeling off. And occasionally this part like peels off, and I'm constantly pressing it back down. And I said I wanted glass, not shit, because I paid a lot of money for it.
Right.
And so, yeah, $200, I got to swallow it. So this piece was coming off, and I used Gorilla Glue, and because I'm a genius. So I used Gorilla Glue, and it smeared, and I went to wipe it with a paper towel, and I accidentally smeared it, so that's why you can see like a little smudge.
Oh, yeah. But you can't see it from a distance. It's okay.
That's true.
So you got that for yourself for doing 300?
Well, about that. But yes, I wanted to get this trophy for myself. But
you deserve it. 300? That's huge. That's an incredible achievement.
There's more to it.
Yeah.
And I didn't mean to interrupt. I apologize. Yes, it was supposed to be 300. Plus, I did a lot of demo interviews where I would record from the phone. Don't ask me why. It seemed like a good idea at the time. I wanted to work as blog talk radio, so I did 72.
Right.
And I was still having pack tax, everything, yada yada. Make a long story short. And I was like 273. And little by little, people would say to me, yeah, my agent said, my publicist said, you ask a lot of stupid questions, you're degrading, we don't want to be seen with people like you, or whatever excuses you can think of. So I said, screw it. Because at the time, I was called Uncensored. Because I like the whole wrestling thing, how Hershey's presents Monday Night Raw. I'm like, well, why not have the KeithAndrewNetwork Network presents Uncensored? So when I took everything down and said, hell, I'm doing it all over. I'm paying for the KeithAndrewNetwork Network name. Might as well use it.
Yeah.
And so thanks to you, we're back up to 456.
Awesome.
So in total, I did over 772 interviews. So it drives me crazy, but I made a lot of mistakes over. But this belt symbolizes, hey, if a kid with a disability can still amount to something, then this should be a symbol for every single person out there, handicapped or having any type of disabilities. Doesn't matter what you do, if you want to become an example for someone and you're very passionate, you should prove to them you can still amount to something. This belt, it's banged up, it's imperfect. I'm imperfect, I do a lot of stupid things, but I'm showing you, look at what I'm capable of doing when I have a disability.
I think it's awesome. I think it's amazing. And I'm thrilled that you have that in a prominent position. It's incredible.
Now, wrapping up our talk show segment, I do have a couple questions for you off the air. But the first one I was going to ask you is, one, are you on social media like LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Stage 32?
I am. You can find me on Facebook, just Bob Barder. I have a regular account and an actor account. Storyteller Bob is the actor account. On Twitter, I'm at BraderB. It's BraderB. LinkedIn, just Bob Barder. And I'm also on Instagram. And I think Instagram is Bob Barder 646. I have on the internet, you can find me under bobbrader.com. For the show, you can go to spittinginthefacefofthedevil.com. And I think that's everywhere I'm at right now.
No, it was a real honor, but having as a guest, I'm looking forward to part two.
It was my honor and my privilege. Thank you so very much. I really appreciate it.
Now we're